everyone. Welcome to the first event as part of the POW Thanet Festival for 2023. I am so excited to be a part of this and I cannot wait to get chatting with Liv in a second. POW is a charity that provides as much free content as possible. So if you can and you're able to, please make a donation. There's going to be a link wherever this video is posted that you are seeing right now. And we're going to be chatting about the importance of joy today, which is really the focal point of the whole festival this year. This is part of POW's Digital Week, which is leading up to International Women's Day on the 8th of March. And I'm going to be talking to lots of different inspiring folks in Thanet who prioritise joy in their life and their work. I'm Ruby Rare. I am happy, silly Margate person who does lots of stuff around sex and relationships. But I'm much less important today because we are chatting to the most incredible Liv Little. How are you doing, my love?
I'm good. I love that introduction of yourself as a happy, silly person. No, it's cute. It's good. It's like, it's nice to be here and chatting to you.
I'm going to do a little intro for those who are seeing your wonderful face for the first time. If you don't know Liv, where have you been? I don't really understand. But Liv is the founder of gal-dem, which is an amazing new media publication, and they are committed to telling stories of people of colour from marginalised genders. They've been around. When did you start gal-dem? Was it 10 years ago?
Like 7 years ago, and I stepped back maybe 2 years ago. So okay. I can't take any credit for the wonderful work that's happening now. But yeah, we started. I was 21. I was a baby. So yeah. Yeah,
amazing. It's been such an incredible platform and community to bring loads of people together, and I think was such a game changer. Couple other things. I was so impressed by this. In 2016, Liv was listed as one of BBC's 100 women, which is like very fancy, very cool, very deserved. I have nothing else to say about that. And her debut novel, Rosewater, is out in April, and I am lucky enough to have read it already. Let me get my copy.
Oh,
yay! This novel is just an absolute joy to behold. I cannot wait for the world to read it. And I guess, yeah, it's an amazing thing. So congratulations. You did a really big thing. And now the world's going to start reading it.
Yeah, it feels kind of mad that, that it's all happening now. Because I think you sit with a book for so long. And like a lot of that is quite like solitary time, right? You know. You've written a book. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it feels amazing actually to be able to talk to people about it now. I've been like in a bit of a like similar to you know, Kent Coast hibernation for a little bit, and it's nice to be kind of like resurfacing again. I think also as myself, like properly myself. I feel like I'm finally kind of reintroducing who I am to the world, which is amazing. So yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm going to kick off with some questions that kind of relate to this, because from seeing you existing on social media from afar, but also just seeing you around town, like things are getting really wild for you. I feel like everything's kicking off in a wonderful way. But with the build up to the book, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm really good. I think like there's moments when you feel kind of overwhelmed, but I do genuinely just feel really excited to kind of like take up space again this year. I think I'd like lost a lot of confidence in myself and in my voice, and I think like the process of writing this book, and also there's a lot has happened in life, but I think like the process of like writing this book and like rediscovering the most creative parts of myself and just having fun with what I was doing, I think it just means that I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like, yes, I can't wait to be on this journey and like see what it has in store. And like, yes, lots of chaos, and of course like the feelings of, oh my god, how are people going to respond? Are people going to enjoy it? They're not going to enjoy it. But there were also like, I guess the people that I really care, like in terms of my community, who I like want to connect with it are like, whether that's my partner or like you, do you know what I mean? It's like the people who I kind of want the book to touch. So far it feels like it's doing that, so that feels really good, and that's kind of like the most important thing.
Yeah, I always get kind of frustrated when with the kind of self-love messaging of like you have to be like fully confident in yourself before, like the whole RuPaul, like if you can't love yourself, how are you gonna love, like how can someone else love you line? Because I don't really agree with that. Like I think that confidence can really come from the trusted people in our lives, and I would be a hot mess if I didn't have some of my core people being like, hey, you're doing good, this is cool.
Yeah, like you need your friends to like gas you up, support you, like all of that has been integral. And I think like, especially even in the process of like writing the book, I've got like a picture of my dad literally next to my desk here, and he died last year, and like going through the process of caring for him and like navigating all of that is like, of course, like you need those kind of cheerleaders and those supportive kind of forces and people in your life, because it's very easy to lose confidence when, you know, things are hard, or like feel like you're not sure of who you are, or, you know, whatever it is. But I've definitely taken a lot of time and done all the therapy and all of that sort of stuff to really like get better acquainted with like who I am as a person and as an individual, like outside of like public perception, or, you know, whatever it is that people think, because I think that's not helpful. So I'm just like, yeah, let's see how people connect with me, the human being, this year.
Yeah, well, it sounds like there's been a nice period of hibernation, like physically but also mentally, and you've been away. I've just been so jealous of your like Instagram recently, of you just having like the most glorious month away in the sun in Jamaica. So now you're back, you're ready,
and it's like, whoa.
you're like, I feel like you're going to have this spring debut back into the world, which I love.
Yeah, it is actually, it's like a gorgeous time, and like the sun is kind of coming out, the sky is a bit like a little bit blue these days, like it's nice, it feels like a good moment to be back.
It's happening.
Birthing something.
And obviously you today, it's so nice hearing kind of where your head's at, and that you're feeling very centered, grounded, excited for what's to come. But I'd love to get a little bit of origin story of like how you got to the Liv that you are today, a bit of stuff around like gal-dem and obviously what came before that, and then how over the last few years you've shifted more into the writing headspace.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, where did it all begin? My mum does this classic thing where she's like, I knew from 3 years old that you were going to be a writer. And she's like, my mum's a Buddhist, and she used to be part of, they have like this like Buddhist publication, and she used to be like part of the editorial team, and she's like, I'd see you sitting in the meetings, and I'm like, you didn't really know, you just like want to have a story to tell now. But in terms of this path, I guess, yeah, I mean, I was at university, I had the whole experience of not feeling like I fit in, and all of that kind of like very, very common stuff that happens when you're in that space. And then set up gal-dem in response to that. Basically, like I was always studying like gender and migration, and I like worked for Women for Refugee Women, and I worked for the Simon community in Ireland and stuff, and I was doing like that was kind of the area that I really wanted to focus on. And I think I just felt like the kind of academic style of writing wasn't something like, it's something that I could do, but I was kind of like, I really want to find a medium where I can connect with more people about topics in a way that's like accessible, because I was like, no one's really going to read my dissertation other than like maybe a couple of friends who are going to humor me, but you know, like it's not really,
I'm sure I'll really enjoy it, but it's not a very accessible means of writing.
So yeah, I think basically from that, I'm feeling lonely, and like also really wanting to like focus on like those issues, especially like work around Yarlswood. I was like, and a lot of the content that I first wrote for gal-dem was like on Yarlswood. It was like that was the thing that I tended to write about. Anyway, so yeah, I was like, I have no experience, but I'm going to set up a magazine. But really, I was also not thinking about it in the terms of like a business baby. I was thinking about like, I just want to meet some interesting people and not feel so alone. And then it got really popular, and it grew, and like we had like so many people like volunteering their time like from all over the place. And then it was like, fuck, like how do we make this a thing that people can actually afford to work on?
Yeah.
But like also being young and just like figuring it all out. A lot of hard work, a lot of like juggling. I went and I did like Channel 4 production traineeship. So I was working in like TV at the same time as like trying to figure out the kind of company stuff. And then like I really enjoyed telly, I really enjoyed Factual. I did like some work on documentaries. I worked on one about Mark Bolan, one about sleep, all of these interesting things. But there kind of came like this critical point where it was like, it's impossible for you to keep doing a full-time job and running like a magazine. And so basically I got offered like this amazing job at the BBC at the time. And it was like super senior, super well paid, but I was like, you know what, like I feel like if I don't do this thing now, like it's not going to reach the potential that it can. So Charlie and I, like, basically, she also turned down like quite a big job, and we were just like, fuck it, let's just try and figure it out. So we tried to figure it out. I went through the process of raising investment, which is like insane and very stressful, and like you're trying to sell, you know, something that, anyway, it's hard to sell, right? Media is also really hard. And then raised some money and did that. And I think I've always been like a super creative person, which is why I did the telly work and all the rest of it. And I think I enjoyed like building a business and like putting in the time that it takes to do so. And I learned a lot, and like of skills that I think I can kind of carry through with me, because it's a very unique thing that we managed to take from
oh my God, yeah,
unpaid to paid, right? But then I also realized that I didn't like managing people. I didn't like that. I just was not that. It was so far removed from like the things that make me happy. But I think that like I was aware that there were certain things that needed to happen to get the business to a certain place. And then I think yeah, it took me like a couple of years to be honest with myself and be like, this isn't really what I want to do anymore, and like love the people, you know, like think that it's amazing and should continue for as long as it can. But I just was like, oh my gosh. But then, you know, it'd been like 5 years of being known as like Liv from gal-dem, so I was like, fuck, like, is it okay that I don't want to be that person anymore, or that I want to be like a different version of myself?
yeah.
And then I burnt out really badly, like for the millionth time. And then I was like, right, I'm going to do what I want to do and also heal. And then that's when I started stepping more into my own creative practice, because I've been doing like the odd short story and the odd project and things like that. But just have like running a business is like, it's like a 24-hour day. You sleep about, you dream about it. I used to have nightmares. I remember Sahela saying that one time, my partner saying that one time I woke up in the middle of the night. No, I didn't wake up. I was like sleep talking and said, I'll reply to your email in the morning. And it's like, it was like that.
That's when you know it's got bad.
That it's got bad. But, you know, like no regrets. Like, I think it's taught me so much, but definitely like I wasn't someone that like grasped how to look after myself and also do that. And, you know, also money, and there's not much of it and all the rest of it. So anyway, and then basically at the time I made the decision, my dad was going through diagnosis. So I was like juggling the process of being like, I can't do this thing anymore. And also something's going on with my dad, don't know what. And then as soon as I basically finished, then we found out that he had motor neuron disease. So it was like from one thing to another. But then in that time period, I started writing a book in the run up to all of that stuff happening. And it was this thing that I just kept coming back to, and was like a really amazing thing to be able to just explore and to just be free. And I think I'd been like very scared for a long time of like just exploring the like limitlessness of creativity and like really leaning into it and saying things, but in a different context. And I think fiction was just so amazing for me because of that. And I also started doing a bit of like screenwriting, which I love. And I'm like, oh my God, like I found this thing that makes me feel so alive and so free. And like I can make statements about the world and I can say things I want to say, but it's in this like, you know, it can be genre bending, it can be like all of this stuff, it can be different types of, you know, form and format and all of these things. And I also started doing an MA, and I think all of those things combined, it just really lit me up, and I was like, oh my God, I've made the right decision.
Well, how's it been since? Like, how's Margate treating you?
It's been amazing. I love it. Like, I literally love it. And I think you know, I came here, I think it was just after my stepdad had died, or no, I think just after my partner's granddad had died. And like there's a woman here that has a property called The Well. Do you know it? I don't know.
No, I don't.
A woman called Hannah, I think, and she runs this magazine, whatever. She basically just reached out and was like, do you want to stay? And I was like, that's so kind, like, sure. And I went and I stayed like with no like anything, just like, I feel like do you need a couple of days? And we went and we just had this transformative experience. And I didn't know then that, you know, years later I'd end up living here, but there was something about that moment and like returning to the sea. I think as like a Black Caribbean person as well, like this idea of like getting closer to the sea I can't be in Jamaica all the time, but like it's not the same, but like I think I was feeling like I want to be by the beach, and I want to have fresh air. And I think, you know, it's been wonderful, and it's really taught me. I thought I knew what community was before I moved here, but now I actually know what it is. And it's like, it looks like lots of different things, lots of different kinds of people, and it looks like physically being there and showing up for each other. It's not about bullshit, it's not about work, it's not about any of that stuff. It's just about connecting on a human level and like being there. And that to me is so special. I don't take that for granted.
Yeah. One of the things I really noticed when I moved here, I'm also super aware of like how easy it is being someone who's moved here fairly recently, of like just over romanticizing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, cool, don't get me wrong, there are and there's things, but you know.
It's not a utopia, but it is pretty fucking great at lots of times. But I think one of the things that was a real game changer for me, and it was maybe like 3-4 months after moving here, I realized, was that I had stopped starting interactions with people and them involving conversations about work early on in the conversation, or at all, like seeing friends and that just not being a thing, like to the point where friends of mine there are even friends of mine now who I've known for a couple of years, and I couldn't tell you what they do for a job.
Definitely, because it's not, none of that is real. It's like, I want to know, like, what makes you feel happy, like what's a hobby of yours that you're like really into that isn't about in, you know, for money or whatever, like who are you, like what food do you like to make, like can we bond over that? Do you know what I mean? Like I literally don't, no, I don't care, because a lot of my friends are creatives and we talk about work and we talk about art, and like that's really lovely, but it's like, that's not, the first thing I need to know about a person is not what can you do for me, or what can, you know, or what is the perception of what you can do for me, or vice versa.
So I want to talk a little bit about the idea of experiencing joy alongside loss and change and grief. And
God.
You know, obviously part of this is very personal about like the stuff that you've gone through over the last couple of years, losing your dad. Feel you can share as much or as little as possible. But also, when I was reading Rosewater, like that's something that's so in the book, like in terms of Elsie's relationship with her parents and like her nan, and you know, being in those moments where like things are feeling very loose and lost. I want to hear you chat about that from both angles.
I think like loss comes in so many different forms, doesn't it? It's, you know, you can mourn friendship, you can mourn like place, you can mourn so many things. And as she moves to the book, she's mourning place and home, or like figuring out what that looks like is a huge thing, and family. And I was definitely in my grief moment when I was writing it. So, you know, a lot of even the kind of like musical references and things like that were songs I write about Yeba and her song Evergreen, and I was like listening to that a lot when my dad was dying and sick, and it was just so emotional. So that, you know, that found its way into the book. But I think it's such like an interesting juxtaposition, because I was like, you know, in many ways so many things that I really want, like in terms of like, I've made this leap, I've moved, I've given myself space, I'm like in luck, like all of these things, and it feels really good. And like, you know, I'm supported by great people, and that feels really good. But at the same time, I know I'm going to lose one of the people that brings me the most joy, you know, and like has shown me the most love. And it's like, sometimes it would just be really overwhelming, that kind of contrast of emotion. I think also at the beginning, when you're losing someone, or when you've just lost someone, like a lot of the images that you have are like of them being sick, and not of them being like fully who they are. And like, I know that you've experienced loss as well, like this past year. It's huge, right? And so just trying to like work through that and like remember like little moments of joy that I had with my dad, like being in Jamaica. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go back to Jamaica, right? Because it's a place that holds so many joyous memories for me, but it's also a place that was very much my dad's. And I was like, can it be mine without him? Is that possible? Like, I don't know, and it was different. It wasn't the same. But it was like, that's quite like a good example of, yeah, being very sad that someone's not there, but being super grateful that like he's given me Jamaica. Like that's my Jamaican heritage, you know, is my dad. And so yeah, and so whoa, he's not here. And of course many moments of just like, fuck, he's not here, you know. But also yeah, feeling super like just thankful that he was my dad. So lucky me that I had the dad that I had.
Oh gosh. Okay, we're gonna need to meet up on the beach so I can give you a hug. It is like the bigger the grief, the more the love. Like often, you know, grief can be very complicated if it's about a complicated relationship. But like, you know, the loss that we feel when someone is gone is because of how much they brought to our lives. And you can't really exist without both of them happening at the same time. Like it's crap. I would love, I'm not going to try and pretend to not be basic. Like I would love it to just be positive all the time. Like, joy, nice things, no one ever gets ill, everything's fine. And I guess maybe there's one person in the world who experiences stuff like that, but that's not human existence.
No. And it makes you, I think, like, also, I guess, you know, being in your 20s, not everyone is experiencing those kind of big losses yet. Some people are, but everyone is. But I think I wouldn't say it's like aged me or anything, but I just think it's like really shaping and continuing to shape the way that I move through the world. And I think that it can only deepen your ability and strengthen your ability to move through the world in like in a compassionate kind of way. So I think, yeah, there are things to be taken from it. Obviously, at the moment when people are going, you know, there'll be a lesson in this, and you're like, fuck off. I'm just really
not right now.
Not right now. But I think there are, and I think even as like someone that makes art or makes work, right? It's just like the depth of the feelings that I've had in the past decade. It's like those are things that you do draw on, and like it does make for like richer, more authentic kind of like work, you know. Like I feel like you have to live to write, you have to live to make art, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, sending you a hug. Big, like, we'll carry on with the big chats, but we can put the big grief loss things to one side. For now it feels really nice to be able to chat about them with you. I've got a couple more questions while we've got our time together, and I want to chat about joy in the context of Black queerness, because we're recording this in February. It's going to be coming out in March, I think, but February in the UK is LGBTQ plus History Month, and in the US it's Black History Month, and both of those really important things to talk about. I still kind of find it slightly, I don't know, I feel conflicted about the whole like it's a month for this, and then the next month it's like forget that thing, it's something else. Fine. But it's interesting these falling in the same month, because so often they feel like very separate conversations. Like I think still, like the way that many people hear or kind of access queer conversations is through a very like white dominated perspective. So I'm just curious about, in your personal life and also in your work, how like celebrating and amplifying queer Black joy works for you and feels for you.
I mean, I think being in Jamaica for this past month and being surrounded by queers and in Jamaica and like going to queer parties and like experiencing what that feels like, that felt like family, that felt like coming home. That wasn't something I ever thought I'd be able to do. My partner was with me. Like I just didn't know that was okay or just possible. But yeah, I mean, queer Black joy, I mean, I'm surrounded by Black queers, so you know, it's like, it
kind of comes in together.
Yeah. But I think you know, like stepping into my queerness was definitely a journey, and there were like certain people and certain spaces that were really instrumental in me feeling like just like seen, or just like, oh my god, it's okay, or like you can lean into this part of yourself and it's exciting, you know. Like, you know, Tia, who co-founded Babes, for example, like was like that space for me at that time. I think it was the same time when we started gal-dem, like in the same year. And I remember just going to the first party and just being like, wow. And I was still like in a relationship with a boy, And I was like, not sure if that was, I don't really know who I am or like what I am, but I just knew that it didn't feel like quite right, but I was like very scared. And I think stepping into a space like that was like just like eye-openingly brilliant and so amazing and so joyous, you know, but by virtue of who I am, I think a lot of my characters like do tend to be queer. Their storylines don't really tend as much to be about them being queer, but like they are queer coincidentally or whatever, not more deliberately. But it's about like weaving in moments of light and also moments of dark, and some things that I'm writing are more comedy and like, you know, I think just experimenting with genre and like the places that queerness can exist and that Black queerness can exist, which is everywhere. I think is a way that like I also tap into that joy now. But yeah, I think I'm living in a fiction space that is joyous and in a drama space that is joyous, and that's also and I think we are getting like a bit more in terms of like certain representation in like storytelling in that way. I think there's still certain groups that we don't really get that for so much. And I'm hoping that the things that I write will start contributing to that. You know, like Rosewater, I was like, what do I want to read? I want to read a queer romance set in South London, of course. So I'm going to write it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
One thing I really enjoyed, well, the one thing I enjoyed reading your book, one of the like infinite things I enjoyed reading your book, like was the fact that it was a queer story, but the queerness didn't feel performative, because it feels so annoying.
It's like, you know,
like, come on, we don't need this whole like, I don't know, almost like a smugness of being like, oh yeah, this character's gay, do what you will with that. Like, I just
you can just tell it's like always feels like someone that's not from that community or the specific communities within the community as well have not been involved or have not written, or my fave, they just like make the sister a lesbian or like whatever, and it's always like an afterthought, and you can always feel that it's like we need a character
someone's just been like slotted in when the novel's finished.
Literally, but it's just like is that really so? I'm glad, and I would have been very upset if I had not as someone who's queer and in love had not
really like all of the whole novel feels incredibly like genuine, and I guess knowing you a little bit as well, there's such a joy when you have a little bit of context about the person who's writing it as well. This like, you know, it's a really like grounded story, and I feel like it's not trying to like show off, it just does end up shining, and that's such a like, you know, not many people can do that.
I need to put that on my quote jacket.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really, really nice chatting to you in this context. Just to finish up, I want to know, we know what's next for you in terms of the book coming out, but anything else that you want to chat about, and also anyone who you want to shout out who's inspiring you that we should know about?
So I'm trying to make TV now. That's like something that I'm TV and books, that's my bag. I want to write, maybe one day direct, but I definitely really just want to write and like learn that super well. So I've been developing stuff. I've got a few things in development. The book's been optioned, so that's in development.
Yay.
And you know, if that comes to fruition, then I would write that. And then I'm writing like a short, just like different things which I'm really enjoying, and are all really, really different, which is fun. Like anyway, so that's really cool. And then I have to write a second book. And I think that one might be a bit more griefy. It's still going to be fiction, but I've been taking my time with it because I'm like, whoa, am I ready? And then in terms of people I want to shout out, I feel like I have to shout out my babes. I have to shout out Sahela, because like the book is dedicated to her. Like, I think the love that we share and that we've had is like deeply inspiring. I wouldn't have written this book had I not fallen in love with her specifically. And so this will actually, I can say this, she's also doing the voice acting for Rosewater for the audiobook, so that's like really special.
Oh my gosh,
it's announced tomorrow, so yeah, that's fine for me to say. Wouldn't have been in a position to move through all of the things that I have and then also write what I have had it not been for her. So yeah,
I think that's the perfect person to shout out. And you know, we've chatted about so much stuff in this conversation, but to end with that like focus on love and just beaming appreciation and care to the people who mean the most to us, that is a really special thing.
Yeah.
And just thank you so much. Like, everything that you're doing now and have done before in the past and will do in the future is bringing a lot of joy and care into the world. So I am just one of the many people who really appreciate that.
Thank you. And you, lovely. And you.
And to everyone who's watched, thank you so much. I hope that you've enjoyed this chat, if you've cried along with us or laughed along with us or a bit of both. And to find out more about the POW Festival, which is happening now from when you watch this, please head to powthanit.com. There is so much amazing stuff going on this year. So do look at the programme and get yourself to as much stuff as you can do. And also, final shout out to all the socials that are kind of popping off during the digital festival. So to discover more about POW, there's exclusive content. Follow POW on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Oh my God, there's LinkedIn, amazing, TikTok. It's all under POW Thanit. So for now, thank you very much for watching. Thank you again to the wonderful Liv, and we will see you soon. Bye.